Alrighty. Well, I never really have a particular structure for these things. Perhaps I should, but I was just sort of plotting out some things about Brig and about just general support play as per usual, and I just came to some things sort of came to my attention. So this is a clone or a VOD review of Clone, and I know you wanted to get a rundown of Brig as a character and all that. But I figured I might make this a compound VOD review where we can look at like Anna and just performance from the last scrim and stuff like that. Next steps and stuff. But yeah, I figured I would take some different approaches. Not even particularly. I would just do my thing, work my magic, if you can call it that. So, as a rundown of Brigitte, um, I think first and foremost, we look at her, we look at health pool, we look at her range, her effective range, pretty close, medium-ish, at best. Certainly not long range. Um, she's got that 150 HP and the little armor, which means that burst and the burst things don't work as well on her. Very exciting. Her whip shot, her shield bash, she's got tons of CC. Her inspire as passive healing is really good for a team and in team fights and close quarters. Um, and I think one thing that's just really important about Brig is understanding sort of her primary functions. So like why why Brig? And a lot of people will say CC. Yeah, of course. Brig does have considerably more CC than someone like Mercy and someone like Lucio and stuff like that. But I think you have to think about Brig in as a character in main support characters in general, sort of in service to different concepts. So what does Brig serve? As opposed to other characters. And like even just categorizing some different main supports, even though categorization is not super favorable. Like I would say Mercy serves off angling and individual carry potential. That's why you see like Mercy Zen comps with the Widow and the Hanzo and stuff like that, and that one whole grand finals cycle with the Mercy sniper pairs. Um, I think it's key to look at that because you can sort of see how Mercy is enabling these off anglers to do their jobs and in service of carry potential, like damping damage where it is. I think she serves individual heroes and stuff like that in off angle. I think I would say Lucio certainly serves teams or teams that benefit from close range combat and speeding onto things like brawl comps. That's exactly why you run him and stuff like that, just to close distance fast and make quick engages, boot people into teams and stuff like that, and create these opportunities. He also has AoE heals and stuff like that, as opposed to Mercy's individual heals, which make him very potentially team oriented with that amplification or with his little amp. Um, and now we find ourselves back at Brig. Like, I don't really care who else I'm stepping over, but those are two archetypes of main support characters that I think are valuable. So I think Brig plays a little bit in service of her team, but in service of her other sort of backline. Or Brig is a backline sort of defender. I think her primary function is creating space for your backline, if not maintaining the security of it. So, step one, keeping your backline safe in things like where the enemy closes distance, because you have a lot of CC for that. But the next step, so that's sort of the easy part, is the execution of sitting around and shield bashing this guy, whip shotting that guy, just trying to get your inspire, keep it up and stuff like that, no pressure. But the definition extends here to maintaining space for your backline. And this is sort of assuming that they are safe in the present moment, that they're not being dove. What can we do to maintain our backline to keep them from being dove? Think about the applications of Brig that you've seen in Overwatch League and things like that. A lot of the times, like Brig in Goats, what was she there for? Obviously, you send your Reinhardt, you send your Zarya, and your Diva to be your primary sort of front line. And those guys do a lot of big things. But until our little Lucio Zen backline is in a position where they can actually aid the team fight and be somewhat safe, that is Brig's duty right there. She will keep people from entering the backline and prevent hard engages onto the backline for long enough that the front line of a GOAT's composition can sort of metabolize people and work them down. Um, which I think is very exciting because it came upon me when I was thinking about Brig that that really is the case. And it's something now that I not only understand but can articulate, and I think that's something big that I enjoy, or that I'm excited about with this review. In any case, yes, maintaining space for the backline is your second primary duty, besides first making sure that the backline is not endangered. So, yes, we will see how we sort of mitigate these backline threats and stuff like that. I can use my own gameplay somewhat as something for this, but I am not perfect, and these are also I forget what SR we're around. I'm gonna say mid-plat scrims, whatchamacallit, it feels like anyway. Um, we've really improved, which is exciting. But yes, when it comes to Brig, thinking about things like maintaining space for your backline, what does that mean when our backline is not endangered? How can we maintain space? Where should we be? Well, I think, again, we should be in a position where we can maintain space for our backline while ensuring that they are safe. So, looking at that here and what that means in the context of this match, I can use some of my own gameplay, as these were the thoughts going through my head. So, you are my Ana, which is exciting. And Ana, real carry hero, everybody says one thing she lacks is mobility, so positioning is really important on the character. It is up to me to make sure that a comp with intense mobility doesn't close the distance onto you anywhere or anytime fast enough that you can't rotate out. So it's a two-way street. I can stop them all I want, but that won't mean anything if you haven't taken sufficient positioning elsewhere. And vice versa. You can anticipate the rotations and everything like that, and if I don't CC them or stop them in any way, shape, or form, then what good am I? Like what help am I doing? In any case, so yes, one thing I had for you really quick. I wrote it down here. Here we are. One thing for you is to look around more and to enter fights with the most resources possible. So I'll make a note to talk about that later. But yes, those are two things more. So looking around more is the first one, and this is one thing that I do a lot on main support. So yeah, we hear Sombra behind us. So I'm watching for her. I'm just going to clear for her and pressure her, keep her distance away from you. So I see that the team is sort of engaging through this way now, which is very ill-advised, frankly. I don't really... I get it, it's cute, but if they don't make this work, this is going to be ugly. If they get naded, it's going to be ugly. So in any case, seeing that these guys are getting close to you, where am I at now? Well, they haven't closed the distance to you, you're not damaged yet, but in a moment, a second maybe, you will probably be. You will probably be in a position where it is dangerous for you. So, my main thing is maintaining the space of my backline. I want to give you space to back up to, which is why I'm trying to clear the Sombra, who I know is coming out over here. So I'm just using my things on her, getting my Inspire up with the little combo. Perhaps it was overkill to do anything more here, but I just want to make sure we have space to run back here. I don't care anything about what the team is going to do here. They're going to try and find picks and do what they need. I need to keep you alive. I need to keep my backline properly unzoned, I need to keep you in the fight so that you can do what you're good at. Oh, and you nabbed her Mega too, that's huge. Very well. Actually, I hadn't known that you fell down here. I was just trying to maintain this position up here, assuming that you retreated just stairs. But whatchamacallit, yes, that is my duty in a fight, to maintain space for you. long enough so that you can survive and do the things that Ana does, land a nade, land your sleeps, heal people up as well as you do. And even in the context of the Brig Zen comps, we want to keep Zen alive so that he can reach his main, or he can maintain his uptime long enough to endanger enemies, which is really, really, really key on heroes like Zenyatta. So, yeah, looking at it again, whatchamacallit, just quickly go over this fight. So, step one, looking around. You're not in danger, so I'm trying to maintain space for you. We already know that the enemy is going to be coming from here. We already know that they're staging unconventionally, I believe that was called, or that they will eventually, because they're running a dive comp, find themselves on this high ground most likely. And so that means they would be sort of remiss to try this without some sort of flank. And because we already heard the Sombra set up there, all I have to do is watch out for when she actually shows up. So yeah, as soon as the enemy team starts pushing in, I know Sombra's going to try her thing and decloak, so I'm, again, making space for you to run away and maintain your uptime in the fight. If she lands a hack on you, which she's probably not going to go for you, she's probably going to go for D.Va if she's smart, whatchamacallit, but she doesn't get the chance to, smile. I want to give you space, again, to run to, and I want to make sure that you are maintained, your space is maintained in the fight. So all you have to do, you don't have to jump down, you don't have to do anything, you just have to walk towards me, and you'll be okay. I promise. Which is what I always say. So yes, zone her, force her translocate. Now, at this point, I was expecting you to be here with me, so my main thing would be, again, making sure that you're safe, so zoning the Lucio, killing this guy, who's essentially dead already, and then I can push up again or clear more angles for you. So yeah, another big thing about Brig is, again, like, why we pack here, what we pack for. And so we want to pack, you're better at healing tanks, so you can heal the tanks all you want. I am better with Brig. Like, armor packs are really, really good pocket tools because they regen, particularly on characters like Tracer. We've gone over this. At least I think so, but I can explain it again. Because of the health pool, an armor pack that regens at a certain rate has a much bigger effect on someone with lower health than someone, or someone with a lower health pool than someone with a greater health pool. Because what is an armor pack to a Winston who already has a million trillion health and needs consistent hits from an Ana to heal him up, as opposed to a Tracer who has 150 health when that pack healing is literally half a second in cover and we're almost good again. Like, that's sort of the thought there. So yes, packing the DPS is fantastic, but what does that serve? Well, the DPS are going to keep people away from you as well. So by packing my DPS and maintaining my other units on the field, my off tank, my flex DPS, my whatever, all my people, my main tank, by maintaining them, I am maintaining space for my backline and fulfilling my duty for you. So boom, a little bit to think about there. So yeah, again, just doing my thing. Just waiting around, making my presence known. They didn't try to go under this time, which I found unusual. So yeah, this is unfortunate. We thought we could fight him up there. I forget what happened. It was a call. So yeah, all I'm waiting for now is, because they cleared our main tank, we are at a disadvantage, of course. And now, what are my duties? You, my friend, are safe currently, because I've looked around to check enough angles to see where my enemies are. Of course, I'm not going to be totally like a 1,000,000,000,000% confident in it until I check around more. Just checking around constantly is what you need to do to get used to. But because I don't see Reaper or Sombra anywhere that's super special, and Winston hasn't engaged yet, you, my friend, in my opinion, are safe. or are mostly safe, and as such I can maintain more space for you, hence my forward positioning. So I send a pack to him because I know this is going to get ugly without that damage mitigation. It does, and it did, and that's unfortunate. So now what do they have left to do? They're pushing cart, they're going to want to try and push us out. So all I want to do is maintain some space for my backline, and I just wait for the monkey to jump so I can whip shot. He should have bubbled sooner, that's too bad. I see you get booped down there, and I'm gonna be honest, I was not super confident in you living this. This is the importance of playing position. Again, it is my duty to keep you safe. If I'm not doing this, I would say that I am failing. So, I need to move on for someone else to protect who's also included in my backline. My good friend AI Bruce over here. And whatchamacallit, you, to me, are not dead, you are most likely dead. It shocks me that you make it out of this, and you do, but yes, now it is time for me to ensure the safety of my backline. Now, he's safe. And now, I maintain the space by backing up responsibly. You are still alive somehow. It's disappointing to say the least. And now, I have to care for you as well. Now, you are unsafe. I think you would agree. And all I have to do is zone people away from my backline. What I'm doing is just creating divisions in the fight, sort of. So we have our front line died, now it's all about backline play, essentially. Like, our Tracer can try to make plays and stuff like that around our backline, but without our initiation, our main tank alive, things are going to be really rough. Our D.Va is going to be serving our backline and helping us with DM and stuff like that, but she's got to tank at some point too. There are still plenty of holes in this plan. So to keep as many bases covered as I can, I'm zoning people out of the backline and creating distance between us with things like my whip shot and my bash. I'm letting people escape, like you and Bruce and or Kree, so that you can become a backline again, reinstate your positions, and then we can play. I am basically just an organizer of things. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend going back here. I just want to play from main right now, just so we can keep poking out and applying pressure on cart. If they want to try an off angle, it's their own funeral, because our monkey's coming back, and things are going to get ugly without their Reaper to stop us. So yeah, again, make sure my backline's safe. We just get dove now. I don't even know where this monkey is, I cannot lie to you, because our own monkey counter dove him. And now I'm swinging for the fences to maintain space. Again, checking my positioning for you. Because we are all close together, we are naturally good for Inspire, which is very handy. And yeah, now we are safe. There are no more threats accounted for that are on you or could reach my backline. Like, I say my backline, I really mean you because you're our healer, but I also mean Bruce because when he's in the backline, he needs to be safe. So, in order to maintain more space, I go up to pack the Tracer, you know how it is, whatever. Let's see where we position again. So, I probably don't want to go over the whole match in like, super depth. I will go over, your play so I can help you realize some of your tendencies and stuff like that. And then maybe even some pro play too, I think I'd like to go over for Brig, so we can see how those guys maintain space for their backline. So yeah, again, a lot of it is looking around. This seems superstitious, but around this rank, I know a lot of Sombras try to get creative with it. And so yeah. So I hear the translocator over here. Now, unfortunately, I didn't see her in time. But whatchamacallit, she is around here. We know she's there. So this is exciting. While I was zoning her from the back line, she EMPs, and thankfully I'm away from the EMP, so I have my little rally. And yeah, to provide some insight on rally, rally is again an ultimate used to either really stabilize or push a position a little bit. I would say it is an ult to stabilize more than it is anything else. Think about it like this. You can rally on the defense to keep your team up with sufficient heals. Rallying with sufficient foresight is key. You can also rally while you're pushing or before an important fight. Pre-rallying is not my favorite thing, but you do it to sustain a fight a lot of the times, or to sustain a push. Rallying to sustain a push is really key because you are stabilizing the fight in your favor. If you can push into enemy space with all of that extra armor and that healing, you have all the CC to reinforce your backline. If you set yourselves up and you set your backline up with the fight when you're pushing, you win. Well, very forehead, but yes, you're immensely favored in the fights. Because what is pushing but setting up in another location that is simply contested by the enemy, you know? So thinking of it like that way, we need to continuously set ourselves up on the battlefield so that we can, be a backline and win. Like right now, I would not say our angles are favorable, but we are alive. There is that. So we either need to push from cart side or push from right side. And I think right side looks a bit more tasty. However, they coalesce, and knowing that the Reaper is over here, and a lot of their other units, I want to start backing up right lane. Again, like, another thing that you can do to really maintain space for your backline, whip-shotting the monkey, really good practice. It's tough in practice, because he likes to bubble too, but get comfortable with it. So yeah, at this point in the fight, looking at how many of them they are, they lost their speed boost, they just cold, they lost their Sombra, so they can't really stop our off tank. Now, losing this fight is a matter of our own problem, I think. If we are to lose this fight, I should say. So that is why I invested my things to punish the monkey. I got a little greedy punishing the monkey instead of like pushing him out and trying to kill him instead of doing other things. Now, it is because we push out that we are unprepared for this. Huh. That we do sort of trade units there. I think that death could have been avoided, but it is the way of things. I don't think I could have saved them in time. Yeah, at this point, kind of want to go out. You guys are safe. Just want to maintain some space, do my thing, keep my Inspire up with those whip shots. They beat engage onto us, which is very cute. A nice little pulse over here. Now, ooh, okay. So yeah, I'm moving to cover very preemptively because I want to make sure that you come with me to bunker up and be safe, like this. Because like this, now you're stable. Now you can focus on healing and doing what you're really, really good at doing. But otherwise, things can be rough. And this is unfortunate. We do lose the fight, whatever. Let's see. This fight was funny. Because what do you do when I feel like I'm doing stand-up? What do you call it when two healers of a dive comp aren't diving high ground with their high ground units? You know, I call that a soft throw. I call that a hard throw, actually. Because just sitting here zoning them, making sure they can't come up these stairs, making sure they know that I, Brigitte, am here, is key. Now, we are getting pushed out of this position, and what I want to do is help us stabilize so you, my friend, can do the thing that you do best. So what that means for me is maintaining space. As it currently is, you are not under immense pressure. You're not distinctly unsafe. I need to help maintain my front line so I can maintain space for you. That includes Reaper getting a little opportunistic here. Punishing him. I rally for you guys so that nobody dies. We didn't kill them convincingly yet for them to go away. So yeah, they booped me off, and thank God for them, because I had no intention of leaving. But yes, even in that exchange, like, you can see how sort of my line of thinking on Brig changes on a dime. It turns on a dime, you could say. And that is a lot of that is sort of instinct and game sense that I've developed by playing Brig a lot. But I urge you to continue playing Brig and understand what it's like on the other side of the support, sort of on the other side of the support spectrum, playing sort of in service of others as all supports do, but playing Brig is quite a different experience. Making sure your backline is, you know, safe and zoned sufficiently. So yeah, right now you're safe, you're safe, I can maintain space, I can keep poking. This guy is going to make you unsafe. So I turn back and I end his life. Or I end his ultimate at least. Making sure you're safe again because this fight wasn't convincingly won or decisively won yet. I invest my ultimate, and what I do is move in front of the enemy. I think that's another big thing too, is I'm keeping myself in a position where I can block people who I think are the greatest threats. If these guys are allowed, if these tanks are allowed into our team, they will create massive problems because then they will take damage instead of the Reaper, who is really relying on that. That is the basis of their comp. For them to go in and he goes in too, and they take damage instead of him. Or he relies on these off angles, these slight off angles for moments of time to deal critical damage. Well, no, screw that. If both of your tanks are positioned at the top of stairs and you have me to go through, good luck. But that is my line of thinking. We're able to dispatch him, and we continue. And yeah, really, there's nothing particularly fancy about it, I don't think. Um, I just want to again focus on my main ideas of making sure that A, you're safe, you're uncontested and stuff like that. People don't keep pressuring you without any reason, or without any risk, I should say. And two, that you have sufficient space to work with. So yeah. I expected Sombra to flank here, but Bruce would have had it covered, which is exciting, or potentially. Sombra appears there, and then I know that things are going to get a little weird over here. So yeah, I want to keep zoning them, whatever, blah blah blah. And again, I'm in a forward position just so that I can back up out of range of EMP if it happens this fight, and then so I can also whip shot any people who are trying to dive onto you guys. I end up falling, and that ends up being a good thing so I can just keep them from pushing cart at all while they're here. And yeah, another decent part of Brig tech is using your shield, which is quite key. Thankfully Topaz had me there, but whatchamacallit, like even looking in slow motion, like looking at the interval at which I use my shield to guide my threats. So Moira, heal orbs. I can probably no longer kill her unless I boop her away from the orb. So I just want to prevent her from damaging me. Same with the Reaper now. Reaper is going to be the bigger threat here. He's really low. So I swing once, it doesn't kill him unfortunately. I swing twice, it doesn't kill him, and it's right back to shielding for me. You gotta think about it a little bit like boxing, you know? Every time you punch or every time you are swinging, your shield isn't up. You're in a position where you can take damage. So swing in these situations sparingly. Use your shield, use your cover when your shield is getting low. I didn't have a lot of cover, so I gave him an adjustment on the whole skull situation. Um, and yeah, really, like, what more to it is there than that? So again, I am every time I play Dorado, I feel like I'm at a different point in my life when I play Brig here. I've had to do it so much, which is a weird thing to say, but no matter where I am, I will always, always hold to this staircase. Because some people just get the wrong idea. Some people just think it's free, and it's not free. So yeah, I expected Sombra to come from here. She did not come from here. Instead, she came from inside there with them. So I was going to maintain space again by anticipating the Sombra, clearing her and forcing her out so that you can have room to run. But now maintaining my front line is how I maintain your back line. So this is unfortunate. At this point, I think we have to start heading choke. So yeah, at this point, there's no reason to panic either. Provided that the other enemies don't close the distance on us, they won't kill us. I'm confident in that. All I have to do is just mess him up a little bit. He boops me up a little bit and nobody else seems to care, which is unfortunate. It's evident that primaling me into the team, or primaling anyone into their team who relies on people at close range, wasn't a priority for the Winston, oddly enough. In any case, sit here, I'm healed up by you, and now we're ready to re-engage. So again, look at our position, and I'm not going to say anything that sounds conceited like, look what I've done to maintain the position, or anything like that. My fundamental function was completed, of giving you guys space on the back line. Our Kree is going for a little risky noon play. The rest of us are going to have to push up so that we can account for it. I didn't want to rally here. I was going to rally, but I wasn't convinced that we could, whatchamacallit, I wasn't convinced that we should take this fight if we couldn't kill Winston immediately, or somehow, because they had both support ults. And yeah, that was just it. I was scared about their support ults, so I didn't really want to make it into a super big brawl, knowing that they had Blossom coming up too. So yeah, all I did in this fight, making space for you guys, was we already have cart control. But the thing about that is, wow, an old friend just tried to call me from Florida. I have to FaceTime me. I wonder what he's up to. In any case, yeah, I ended up just charging their backline for no real reason besides the fact that it is funny and I want to force those support ults if I can. I beat Lucio up and I run away with both of them. So now it's back to my thing. Now these guys are going to push, right? That's going to happen. And because they're going to push, I have to make sure you guys on the backline are safe. So now my positioning goes from pushing them insanely, like again, like I was already making space for you guys, or making space for at least you. I overextended and did an aggressive play because I thought I could get support ults out. I did. Now I run back to a much more standard position where I probably should be. Where all I do is play to sort of punish aggression again. Now you called that Reaper was on you. I know you can take the Reaper. Like, I'm gonna be honest, there's not much. I don't think there's much he can do to you that is devastating at this point in the team fight. If he kills you, what's going to happen? He has to fight into CC and 2 tanks on point with Inspire heals, and with the units he has alive, there's, unless all of us like lag out and leave the match, I don't think there's a way they take the point on this fight. So yeah, I'm just chilling. And you can see, even frantically, I am looking around the fight. That is a really big thing, looking around, and I really can't stress enough of it. Like, just by looking around and observing where people even like to come from a couple times, that's how I've built up my repertoire of soul reading every Sombra. Up this staircase, every Reaper, up this staircase, up the staircase on first and stuff like that. Oh, you're gonna pinch my backliner. Yeah, try it. Whatchamacallit, I've just seen it too many times, and physically seen it and examined it. So please, really do look around at all times. Every time when you're not fulfilling your duty of pumping people with heals or something like that, or charging nano or something like that, every time you are reloading, every single time you're reloading, please look around. Like, examine, just check around you, check behind you, listen for things and stuff like that in moments where you don't need to invest your focus in shooting. That is the key. That is a really huge pillar of becoming a better Overwatch player, is increasing your awareness just by checking more. Because some people are like, how do I increase my awareness? And I think awareness is the summation of, what am I trying to say? Awareness is the summation of actually checking and getting good information on the battlefield, like looking around and gathering valuable information, maintaining it well. And so like your sort of practices and then uh just game sense and expecting things here, getting a read on players, what are their tendencies, what do they do, stuff like that. That comes with time. I'm sure you're familiar with some of the habits of the people around this rank and stuff like that, and you will need to update those as people get better and worse. So yeah, this is a bit of a sloppy engage from them, like a little bit a lot. They are clearly desperate to touch the cart here. Fortunately, I couldn't stop this. I was mad that I couldn't stop this. And yeah, really what more is there to it than that? So yeah, I think I think that's really a big thing with Brig is fulfilling her core duties, which is a making sure that her backline is safe and not endangered. There's no active dive happening. There's no huge like flank happening right now, or no flank happening that is uncontested by us. That our backliner is comfortable and able to, or backliners, I should say, are comfortable and able to perform their functions well, and then that we can maintain that space and keep them operating well. You know, just that kind of like a little bit of prevention goes a long way. And that idea informs a lot of things about Brig, like how you might play her, how she fits into your play style. I happen to be a bit of an aggressive support at times, and whatchamacallit, like I would say I, I'm just an aggressive support player. Even I think I would say that I am aggressively defensive in the ideas that I choose to defend with. And that's just me. That's just my style. If you happen to be a lot more defensive and of a player and stuff like that, then I think it's key how you think about how she falls into your play style and stuff like that. Like that's all. It's all up to you, and I don't think you should really weigh too much into that as much as you should just getting down the basics of Brig and seeing where the chips fall. You know, like that's really just it. I don't think I have a lot more intense advice than that. So yeah, just to review, as I've said a trillion times, but I really, really, really cannot understate how important Brig completing these duties are. So making sure your backline is safe first and foremost, and then making sure that your backline has space second. Secondly, and potentially most importantly, now understanding the differences in these timings are simply are is my backline under significant pressure, and that situation can vary because this is a dive comp that relies on like squeezing out targets and stuff like that and pressuring people out of positions. Then, when they're vulnerable, killing them or something like that, swooping them into the night. Um, it is easy to see when your backline is under pressure. In the sniper comps, it can be a little bit more difficult when you are sort of thinking about angles and stuff like that. Angles that the enemy has on you, things like that. Um, that is how you can sort of maintain whether or not they have space in a comp that relies more on angles and stuff. Um, in any case, though, yeah, proximity is Brig's friend. She likes to. Thankfully, a lot of the time when your backline is safe and you're maintaining space for them too, you end up sort of in the middle of your backliner and your frontliners, and that is a very coincidental happenstance because I, everybody gets inspired. It's a very neat little thing. Um, I think packing your DPS is the best thing you can use them for. Absolutely. I would invest more than one pack on a tank if you don't absolutely need it. If it's not going to be healing, that can potentially end up saving their lives. And you need to be a very good judge of that. And I think that's a very good thing on Brig is understanding that repair packs aren't instant anymore as well. They're not insta cast heals. They are heals over time, which is what makes them an amazing and insane pocket tool, frankly, for heroes like Echo and heroes like Tracer. Um, but yeah, not only that, but making sure that you are not packing tanks as often, if at all, because it is so ineffective for them. So yeah, I goodness, that's really the first part of what I wanted to go over. So that was a fun, good round. And if you'll excuse me for just a moment, I'll take a sip of this blue Powerade. I need to, I don't know, work at like Powerade or whatever parent company makes them, or Gatorades. They're so good. Blue Powerade is essential, as is yellow Gatorade. But yellow Gatorade will always be my favorite. The sugar-free ones too. Oh my gosh. In any case, so this was a map where you played Brig, I'm gonna say, and whatchamacallit, I will, we will sort of observe where some things I'm like hesitating to say it. I'm not going to hold back. Um, where things need to be. So what you should be thinking about and where it is currently. I mean, frankly, I would have you review this on your own in like with the context of the whole 40 the past 40 minutes of watching gameplay and being like, okay, like now I kind of get it. Now zoning the back line is essential and stuff like that, especially into these dive comps. In a dive little I would say a dive meta like this, but where things can be so variable, frankly, to allow for dive. But yeah, um, seeing where things take place, which is exciting. So yeah, here is where I can talk about some of the things and your tendencies. Now, initially, I talked a bit about your tendencies in saying that I wanted you to look around more, especially while reloading, especially on Ana 90% of the time too. If you go to play Zen, that's essential too. And then entering fights with the most resources possible. In this case, your resources are your packs, as well as just generally your cooldowns. You want to enter the fights with the most cooldowns as possible because, of course, who wants to go into a fight bare bones with nothing to keep them in there or something, or to create those opportunities. So yeah, in Ana's case, it's ammo and cooldowns. In Brig's case, it's packs and cooldowns. And reloading or holding off on packing things during fights or before fights um, to make things good or to give yourselves the best chance. Now, at this point, we are in sort of quite a neutral state. So I think the the Ana Brig comp is a lot more forgiving than the Ana Zen comp on both parties. Um, Ana obviously nades herself. If she lands a lucky nade onto Brig 2, Brig's Inspire automatically makes her just a roided up, I don't even know, freak of nature with all that Inspire. And the Ana heal too. So together they're very, very powerful at sustaining one another, which is really cool because they can maintain a lot of backline pressure. That said, they also may not have the best tools without other members of their team to actually do the damage to get them out of the backline. Brig Zen is different in that facet because I just love it so much because Zen has many of the tools he needs to pressure people out, and what he needs instead is not to rely on survivability. Like survivable and Zen don't exactly go in the same sentence many times at all. Like survivability is attributed to the practices of the Zen, like me anticipating rotations from the enemy, the tracer's positioning, this, that, whatever, where the tanks are going to go to. Um, because of that, uh, that is because of just practices as a Zen player and keeping yourself alive, that is the most survivable you can be, frankly. Like, is just by what you do with it. Your character is not innately survivable. Instead, what I do is I apply damage to people such that they accept the terms and conditions that if they enter this room, if you dive me, there's a good chance that you will take so much damage that it is a massive risk, and that is to everybody. So, as a super glass cannon character, Brig's job here is especially difficult well, not difficult. Brig just needs to be especially diligent to maintaining space around the Zen and helping maintain the Zen. Same with the Zen themselves. Um, they have to be looking out for their own safety as much as theirs as a backline. So yes, sitting around here, we are in a very neutral position. We have our little backline established up here. We have a front line here. These guys, I think, are in just a bit better of a position at the moment because we are pushing them. Like right now, we're not taking space as well as we potentially could be, I would say. This is a tough place to engage on, but we must do it. I think an echo would be better here than the Kree potentially. That would put more of a strain on us as a backline though, so that would be tough. So yeah, using 2 packs instead of 1, I think a little unnecessary because we're both here. Now I see that you're staying at low health here, and I'm sorry for not healing you in hindsight, but I'm looking for frags in constant angles to sway the fight in our favor. If you need heals, and this goes for everybody who may watch this, and I urge you, if you watch this, to please remind everybody that there is a button that tells you where people are and logs that they've asked for healing, because everybody needs healing at different stages of the fight. It is impossible for us as supports to maintain exactly when everybody needs healing. So when you feel you need healing, and that I would say like this right now, please hit the I need healing button. It costs me one millisecond of looking over, and I won't stop. Like any support player really, it takes them just a second to be able to heal you. Now you've rotated onto the low ground, and I ask why. Again, what is our duty here? So again, making sure our backline is safe, and secondly, making sure making sure our backline is safe, then making sure our backline has space. So step 1, let's review our position here. So step 1, are we safe? Is anybody actively threatening us right now? Like, is anybody committing to us? No, not really. Are we safe? Yeah, I would say we're kind of safe. Do we have space? I would also say yes. So what gives? What are we supposed to do? And this is a sort of downfall of the comp that we're running because our Kree isn't someone who has a little bit more range or can't be in there more, and we have a ball tracer only being able to really pressure the floor. It's really hard for us to get a good angle on here. I would say that we potentially need to play a little more defensive here, but if we just had different heroes potentially, I don't know that there's any way that Tracer really could have made it over here super effectively and maintained a lot of her efficiency here. So yeah, this is a tough call at the moment, but I think we probably needed to just play on the ground, play around cage or something like that, and instead play where our ball is favored a lot more and our tracer. But that's just me. So right now, we would ask the Magic Conch, what do I need to do my duty in this fight? And then she would say, nothing. And then it's like, yeah, nothing. Oh my god, my frames. So right now, I don't hear you asking for healing, and therefore, I do not heal you. The reason I'm not healing you is because I'm focusing on making sure all the squishies are zoned properly and that people have heals who need it up front. I'm really looking for Tracer, but whatchamacallit. Again, so a weird thing about this fight is that they are running the Tracer, and I'm pretty sure we'd seen her before, we would have been able to hear her, but I heard her from this position going past cage, and I know she was going to rotate up in the next, like, 7 to 8 seconds or so. And so, I pre-positioned downstairs to make her peek the next angle. So, this was my intention here as the Zen. However, so yeah, she doesn't find me when she comes up. Instead, she finds you. And again, it's my apology for not anticipating that you needed health. That's my bad, but please do say you need health because I really do want you. Yeah, it's unfortunate. I couldn't punish her as I wanted to, but I did punish her nonetheless. So seeing her now that she's left cage means that my little backline rotation is potentially free to go back high ground with you. At the same time, we can also hold an equally defensible or a little bit less defensible position over here by cage, but that serves our team a lot better. Um, Now for you coming back, again, ball, I don't think he needs a pack there. I want to enter the fight because our fight hasn't started yet. Like right now, are we fighting? Is anyone diving on these two dive comps? Right now we're sort of just poking and doing our thing. And that's good. Poking is good. Um, hey, that's pretty good. The only thing is that we're missing potentially another piece of this. So I like what you tried here, but this comes with experience from Brig. Um, so yeah, when you see this, when you see D.Va just barreling it down at you and your backline for what appears to be no reason, for first things first, we need to be shielding around this corner, probably. I like to shield just to keep all incoming damage to a minimum. It also happens to be the angle that my Zen is peeking at the moment, so we can clear that a little bit. We also get that third person view, so I can peek around and see what's happening cage, and I can look through the lattice as well in third person, while maintaining my sight, main and right side. Whew, that's a lot to talk about. But right now, are we safe? We are about to not be safe. We are endangered by a D.Va. So, should we maintain space? To that I would say no. Because we're not safe, again, we're swinging out too far wide right side here, and then instead of whipshotting, we choose to bash. So already, this could have been nasty, but whatchamacallit. But I've seen this dive a million times. I hate to call the old dog card, but it is the truth. Whatchamacallit, yes. Basically you've put yourself out of position here. I'll give it to you straight. You put yourself out of position here by A, swinging wide and not staying tight to this corner. So I'm not going to rotate anywhere past here. They have to push people into my sightlines for me to kill them. Or for me to place Discord, and then my ball tracer kills them and potentially D.Va. Now, if there's one place I want to fight for control of, I don't really care too much about main. I mean, main is obviously good, but because we already have units main and that's sort of clear, I want to fight for cage. If we had cage, I'd sort of want to be careful about main and stuff like that, and instead work cage side. So, to me, this means I'm not going to be moving from this position because I can pressure both. I peek around right side, blah blah blah, orb, whatever, blah blah blah. I can even shoot down main, haha. If I want to shoot cage, I can do it from here. So I'm not moving my position. I'm not. But this is the position I have to retreat to, indoors. And that is unfortunate that you've chosen to go this way because now the Winston jumps over me. You've stopped the D.Va, but most of the damage from their dive is still there. So yeah, shield bashing isn't really the right option either. What I want to do here is like D.Va won't barrel down at you with no reason. Right there, you saw she went around the corner too. So she's clearly got something in her mind. Something that she thinks she can do with that fugly dash. Like, look, she starts it from around the corner. Echo starts swinging. We hear a tracer blink from the left side, even though I didn't hear a tracer blink from the left side from your POV. I wasn't focused on that. I was focused on the tank engaging here. So what I would do here, if I were you, is simply just not swing wide, just back up around this corner, maybe whip shot her because I want that inspire if they're going to engage. So yeah, step 1, definitely whip shot. Actually, step 0 is stay around this corner. Step 1, whip shot, and keep the shield up so we could third person the tracer as well. We could see her. And then we can, just defend this position. We can make our backline safe. The best thing about this is that we can stall for long enough and play inside for long enough that if you stall for me, I think I kill everyone. And that's not an overestimation. Any Zen will kill everyone. Thankfully, we even had the peel from Kaiju. Whatchamacallit, it is it is that way. That is the way. So yeah, at a fundamental level, you almost die here just because of an out of position sort of receiving of a dive. Let's see. So yeah, though the solutions I would offer are not super cut and dry in a Brig Zen comp, especially in the context of this team. I mean, they're trying very, academic dives, oh, yes, we should dive the Zenyatta because he's a vulnerable target. It's like, well, how are you going to get to him without dying? That's a good question because that is the question you will answer, and you will say they won't because they have to get past me. And if even if they do reach me, I can hold them off for long enough, or I should be able to hold them off long enough, such that they will not find almost any value and will instead be turned on by my team. Um, as for solutions, I would suppose like there's never one solution in Overwatch at all. But right here in this position, we don't drop down because there's nothing to be done. Our composition is not in need of anything that I don't think they can't handle. If anything, us as a backline, we should probably push forward. Like if our team starts calling to like push, on, push, and like push as a team, like this is a great position. I don't want to leave this position if I don't have to. Especially because this is where you can expect the enemies to fight. But if they tell me that they really want to push this or whatever, I guess I'll leave. Like as a Zen, and that means that you can leave too. That means that Bruce could leave a little bit ago, I guess, but he also benefits a lot from this here position. Um, we don't have to leave little Paradise Island here if we don't want to. All we have to do is just make sure we're safe. And again, they didn't engage on us. We killed their Winston, so that means that what do they really need our help on the brig? Like just swinging around doing our thing? I think they should be fine with packs and keeping our backline safe, so that I can keep peeking super safely and not worry about the tracer. Same thing as always. Whatever, blah blah blah. Again, we just went over this next dive where whatchamacallit, we find ourselves out of position. We swing wide. We're not playing for that whip shot of ours. And whatchamacallit, thankfully, that felt funny. I liked that one. That made me smile because that's what you get. That is just what you get for peeking unsafely into this comp, and not even from me. They probably would have died to these guys sooner. But yeah, whatchamacallit. I think again we sort of find ourselves out of position here, and this is a dive that could have gone worse. Absolutely, it could have gone worse. But instead, we barely survive. Now let's see how we receive this next dive. So instead, we're really going on the gallery here of positions. So now we control a lot of main, and a lot of main control means that we probably will want to play somewhere where we can see a lot of the other angles. Now, because it's not such a neutral fight, I prefer to stay on the ground for these sorts of fights, but I will absolutely go high ground if we can hold high ground. That's my main thing. If we can hold high ground up here, then I absolutely want to. But at this point, the rotation would take too long, I felt. Let's see how we receive a dive over here. So we're sort of just swinging around, and swinging is a great way to keep your APM up, which keeps you sort of involved. Like the motion of the flail keeps my mind working. But another thing you can do is also shield, so you can third person look around this pillar. And third personing is really key because it allows you to gain information that you don't have to face check for. The Ana face checked to make sure that I was over where I was and I could be naded. She also happened to face check 5 orbs. That is the problem. You could face check a sleep dart, you can face check stickies, you could face check a pulse bomb, like by checking a corner without your shield. So be careful. You have a special advantage that nobody else has, or that few other characters have in this comp, which is a shield. I don't think that really necessitates a pack yet. It was very light damage, as a very micro thing. D.Va is, oh my word. So just listen for the dive cooldowns. Like you'll hear about when Tracer starts shooting, or just about when Tracer blinks. The D.Va uh, the Diva boosters, the Winston jump, and that is your cue to get close to the corner that we are playing around. Um, Now, in this position, I really wanted you to play the corner that we were in because it would have kept us both alive. Like, it's another thing where, like, you scratch my back by keeping space. I scratch yours by peeling people off of the dirt and throwing them in the trash can. Um, I wanted to play this corner over here, which is fairly defensible, I would say. Perhaps it's my fault for not anticipating this sooner, but again, we're sort of swinging wide over here. Are we afraid of losing point? No. I don't think I'm afraid of losing point here because that happens to be a not half terrible position when they're rotating into point for our ball to engage upon. And for our whole comp, we're not the worst ever at taking fights towards this area out here. Um, Now, I want you to stay close again to me so you can help me with the tracer dive. So step one, we're sort of taking space here before we're safe. And like you saw me on Dorado. Like when I played Brig with you, I made sure to stay close to you or within the sufficiently close to make sure that you would not be easily killed, like at almost all times. And a lot of the times that involved either me working to make sure that we had a place to retreat, or working to make sure that I can zone the enemies as they try to get you. And here, unfortunately, neither of those things happen, which is why I end up getting deaded by the tracer. So you're very eager to stun the main dive, but what do we care about the main dive here instead of the DPS? Like I think in general as a rule of thumb, shield bash the people who are engaging in who you want to deal with in a second, as opposed to immediately. So the thing that concerns me about this is that Tracer has been going with the dives every time. And I wanted to aggressively re-peek the Tracer in anticipation that she would be blocked. Now what happened was that Tracer instead was able to drive by me past you, which is unfortunate. And now, because I'm dead, I can't zone them off of you. Ordinarily, this would be a situation where, had we zoned the dive tanks, or had we just whip shot the Winston or the Diva and played closer, we could both retreat into this area here and force them to come in. Forcing them to try and chase us opens up A, their backline to us if they're crazy enough to try and support that, or B, we turn around and kill them. Again, our idea on Brig is making sure our backline is safe, for one, making sure that we are comfortable operating where we're operating, and B, that we have the space to operate. So step one is the survival, the comfort, and step two is actually getting to work. And so unfortunately this was a violation of step one. Again, as the enemy is about to dive, they are staging actively, and we didn't see them stage, but we do see them dive. We have to play in anticipation of their dives almost constantly. It's a bit different in the context of a Sombra because with this comp, we know probably where they're going to come from. Tracer isn't super, super duper stealthy, and she will approach from an off angle, but not so much a flank usually, um, or at least a flank that we don't know about, right? So my main thing here is that, like, again, this is a violation of step one. We are in the realm of about to not be safe. And instead of whipshotting and maintaining our position, we shield bashed a target and instead whatchamacallit, like it's there's like many factors that I'm going through as I'm flying through this. It's like a representation of my mental cycle, I swear. Whatchamacallit, like I think the most important part is the number of people who are diving. Like on Dorado and stuff like that, a lot of the times they wouldn't dive with terrible numbers. But here they are clearly diving with some intent. And diving with intent in dangerous numbers of people means that you should make yourself as safe as I am. Extending your life means extending a shield for me to go clean things up. Or your Zen player or your flex support player to help clean things up. So as long as the both of us maintain integrity as a backline, the very thing, the very idea that you live in service for, essentially, um, we survive, we thrive, even, um, and that is the downfall of this. That is why this push went the way it did. So going up top again, we can establish a good position. And what do we do here? Well, there's not really much to be done here. We have a lot of map control. All we want to do is minimize taking a lot of damage. Even so, we can afford to take some damage so you can get your charge. The enemy is not engaged yet, and we can't quite push up to get there, so what are we supposed to do but stand here and watch? This could get ugly. But in order for it to really get ugly, they have to try and push us off here. Or they have to try and get us off somehow. Now, how they do that is going to be interesting. Yeah, Bruce is the first to leave Heaven, which I totally agree with. While the two of us stay here. Now, currently, don't feel bad for doing nothing. Are we going to rally? Oh. Okay, looks like we all wanted to fight this. So yeah, I wouldn't drop here without rallying. Or without a support ult. And knowing this, I used Trank when the enemies started to get close to killing us, or getting close to making this fight longer than we want it to be. Now, unfortunately, we rally at the same time. I mean, truthfully, I was out of range of the pulse bomb, but I didn't want you to die to the primal by getting hit by the proximity of the pulse bomb. I didn't know if it would get you or not. And then here, I think we just need to be on point. But that's my difference here. Like I think we could have. We can stay and pick the Ana in like as a very academically, which I appreciate, or we can force point on them and just send our diva after the Ana to eat up all the damage, killing them all in one place. We are in no bad spot where that is difficult to achieve. So I went for the aggressive play. That's my B. That's my style. What are you gonna do, right? Besides not do that. So yeah, whatchamacallit, like nothing immensely disagreeable. And again, I see us like walking around a lot without shield up, and that doesn't mean walk with shield up eternally, which is what you do a little bit of next map, but like just when you're about to peek a corner that might be contested, or you just want to peek while maintaining a position, that's what your third person is good for. And if you're not sort of shielding to look around, then I think I should see you looking around. Or I want to see you looking around more. That way, again, you can know what's going on. And frankly, so can everyone. Now that's what we sort of do here, like I said. Whatchamacallit, this is a weird point. It's because our comp wasn't super great into it. So I like zoning this position initially, but we weren't all in a place. Like, because they're fighting over here, we have to be ready for a fight over here. This position is not immensely beneficial, to me, at least as a Zen, or as your backliner, until we clear sufficient space on point for me to take this position. So, yeah, I want to go here. I really want to go over here and swing over here, but that's not the best idea right now because we don't have enough point control. Again, I'm safe right now. The enemy team hasn't dove, but that doesn't mean that they won't. So let's see how you receive here. These guys are getting poked out real hard. Yeah, wow, that's let me see. Yeah, this is a target focus thing. There's not a lot we can do about this besides follow Discord and whatchamacallit, like actually just focus on killing one target. Let's see. So yeah, again, sort of playing around here. We've used all our packs. Yeah, I'll give you the yeah. That was a pack. That was a pack that we needed. But just as much so was this. And again, you can sort of see how we're sort of floating around space, and it seems we're a bit uncomfortable as to where we should be. The front line is for the frontliners, and we are backliners. You are the furthest backliner forward, usually, I would say as a rule of thumb. That's the thing everybody says. You want a position break between your tanks and your backline. She should be the middleman of the team. And it's like, well, of course. But what does that how can we interpret that into a behavior that we can follow? So again, in service of the backline, I am currently safe, but because they're running this Sombra Reaper dive comp, it is very easy for me to also not be safe, especially with the Lucio, who can also endanger like our backliners, not just me but Kree, whatchamacallit. So while I respect that it is important for you to be where you are towards the front line, we need to be a bit further back here. Like we're taking the damage that our front line is taking, unfortunately, which is kind of scary. Yeah, D.Va gets a mech back. That's unlucky. And you're really hard pushing them out, which is exciting. I am not under any pressure, which I approve of. And now you're unfortunately in too deep, which is the critical point. Then yeah, this becomes winnable. So yeah, I think it's gonna be hard. Like thankfully this point is a little bit better for us. Especially on this comp, you could see how much just pure poke and stuff we could put down, which was really exciting. I think we could have been, as a backline, a bit more aggressive and committed to more dangerous positions so that you didn't have to push up. That's one thing I think could happen. But I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't 100% sure that if I moved forward, I would be able to be cared for just yet. Just because of the nature of their team comp, they're pretty good at making me explode, and I would prefer that to not happen, like on a moment's notice with the Reaper and the Sombra. So I want to keep my distance, but you guys can definitely think about moving forward, especially Bruce a little bit. We just have to be measured with our aggression when we are. That's all I think. So I understand your need to push forward. It makes sense. I would definitely be a bit more cautious about it though. There are a few stages where I wouldn't have gone in really at all with my front line. I just have to play for the pressure that my backline puts out. That's a good little pack. I don't think you should use more than one though, because this isn't something that we seem to be committing to at the moment. Like if we're committing to a dive, Splat should be in, and those are the facts. That's the gospel truth. Yeah, right now, I don't really like pushing too forward on this, and maybe I should. I should trust you guys more, but yeah, I have to see. I hate that. But yeah, I think like never letting your backliners too far out of your line of sight. I don't think Splat will see her here. No, but he does see the translocator, which is really good because now she has to EMP from a position that's good for us, probably, if she wants to live anyway. Unless she has another translocator for there soon enough. Based on how long they're taking to engage, I would guess that they do. Yeah, good for us to force their hand here. I like what I'm seeing. Look at this position. This is good. You can sort of be in the middle of us. You can watch Kree, you can watch them. I think instead of standing up top and taking additional damage, though, possibly, I would more likely, like, into this comp, it's somewhat unlikely. But I don't want to be caught in anything I don't have to, so I like to sit behind this pillar and just third person, and then jump up for packs if I absolutely need. Um, Let me see. Sombra's waiting for them to get in position. They start jumping left lane, which I called, which is exciting. Um, and now, so that this doesn't have to happen, whatchamacallit, like I tranked because I truly felt unsafe here. And that is, you know the squid from Finding Nemo where she's like, "Oh, you made me ink. They made me ink." You know, what am I gonna do? I'm a little zen. Like I don't have all that defensive capability. I can't burn this Reaper at his current health, like that quickly anyway. So what we need to do is close the distance faster. We don't need to shield this, because if he turns on you, who does he want to turn on more? The Zen or the Brig who can stun him? Like he's not gonna turn on you. I can assure that. And this was good, but if you're seeing something like this, I often tell my other player, like, come to me, or I give them instructions that they can follow relative to them. So whatchamacallit, if it's come forward would have been a great thing to tell me in that situation so that I move forward. If he decloaks, he gets rinsed by you, me, and Topaz, because he gets shield bashed by you, and that benefits you because you were already close. So the call to come close there would have been fantastic. But I continue moving back because I wasn't sure how many threats were over here. Um, I would trust in the process if my fellow player tells me to, though. It's it is how it is. So yeah, again, like from this position, looking at it, like come forward, wait, come to me, come to me, come to me, and then by that point, I could move forward and not potentially get pincered by the Sombra, which forces my Trank in time for their EMP. Thankfully, we have a decisive advantage in the fight already, but that just means I have to farm, which is why I'm here. And then here again, like we're just not maintaining our space, whatchamacallit. Like I have to get greedy because I have to get my Trank back in time because next fight is going to be a little crazy. Uh, I'm not sure that we're gonna have everything that we need to kite them fully, but whatchamacallit, like, let's see. Yeah, I needed a pack there. Yeah, I live with a pack. That's unfortunate. And I'm using a lot of eyes, but whatchamacallit, like I think I have some credence to review. I didn't want to review my gameplay with you just because I feel like I'm being selfish in making requests. But really what I'm asking isn't unreasonable, I don't think. And whatchamacallit, it's something that your other backliners will ask of you eventually too. When we find a new flex or main support player or whatever is going on, whatchamacallit, at least for this for the interim. Yeah, when we get a new support player, whatchamacallit, they'll probably ask, they should be asking the same things. You've died. I don't really know how, but I assume it's defending the point. A valiant death, and I am sorry. Oh my god, you left the world, that's right. Yeah, and when you return, yeah, this isn't even worth it. Lucio's gonna be an annoying freak. The best you can hope to do is whipshot him. Like, and even then, I would feel hesitant about. I would whipshot him, and then I would go back to Zen, because whatchamacallit, or back towards the back line, because I really don't want to whipshot someone who's not gonna die of me. Like the early pick pressure is really good, but right now he's not doing a whole lot. It's a nice little whip shot. I called a push, and pushing with Brig, again, is really just moving your backline up to, whatchamacallit, what was I gonna say? is just moving your backline up into a better position or a position that's contested by the enemy, right? That's all that pushing really is in terms of a backline context. Um, and so where can we push ourselves that is better? Oh, that's unlucky. So you got one more fight. Oh, we won. I think we won because they left. Or no. Well. Oh, it really makes you think. In any case, over here, I'm not sure it was particularly there was anything super of note. Um, Besides the things and the habits that I'm sort of explaining to you more. So, step one is sort of getting that understanding of Brig and like really, really thinking about it. Like looking at your positions from up top and being like, okay, what am I doing? Is my backline safe? Like as a whole? And then do they need space? Do they need space to operate? How do we maintain space for them? Like if we don't need space and we're not trying to take space, then how do we keep space, right? And a lot of that is through your spy checking, your pressures, your whip shots, especially. Whatchamacallit, all of that is extremely important in maintaining space for your backline. But besides that, like that's really the main components of Brig gameplay that I wanted to go over anyway. Um, you played it on Elios, and you played it on Nepal. I forget, but I think you should try Brig more. What the? Oh my god. That's like wonderful in an awful way. Like that's amazing in the worst way. I think I like that skin. Awesome. It's a shame that the meta for it is completely outdated. Um, but yeah, I think now I'll go to watching potentially some pro games and sort of we can observe together with this new sort of context how the professionals use Brigitte and stuff like that to maintain space, which is really, really exciting. Um, I think, oh boy, that's just so, it really does make me smile. Um, just because how amazing these players are at what they do. Right now, I should clarify. I'm starting up the league viewer, and as it boots up, I'm going to be taking a sip from my blue Powerade again. Here I go. Okay. Beep boop beep. I think I'm here now. My league viewer is starting. Um, yeah, I am. I'm quite excited. There's a lot of good brig play nowadays, um, which is extremely now that Lucio's out of the pool, or now that he's banned. Yeah, I'm quite excited to see about some of this. Now, I've watched quite a few of these games, and I'm just thinking of moments where there was a lot of really good brig play. But I think really good brig play happens almost everywhere, which is really exciting. And you get to see sort of the same situations that you're forced in, or that we are all forced into on brig and stuff like that. But how the pros handle it at a similar level. Like, and of course it's like, how are I can't compare myself to a pro, and it's like you absolutely can't, because you absolutely can, I should say, in some facets, because, well, of course the mechanical skill is high, much higher, and what you call it, in just the general like level of the game is higher. These situations are still happening, they're still mirrored here and there and stuff like that. So let's see, what's a game. I feel like Havana, they might play Bap Zen, but they also might Bap Brig. Oh, this is just a crazy set, by the way. Um, I think yeah, they play the Bap Zen. Do we play Bap Brig at any point? Uh-huh. Yeah. So let's see how we play with the Bap Brig here. So this is super exciting. Let me just make sure that I'm picking this up. Yes, I am. Boink. Right. So here we are. And we will go to our good friend Skewed, who is a fantastic player. Fantastic Brig specialist for the LA Gladiators. He's actually a flex support player who just happens to be really good at Brig. Um, so that's why you see him flex on things like the BAP and then the Zen here, which is really valuable to team like the Gladiators in this meta. Again, so look around like, do we need to peek? I think the answer right now is no. Are we making any hard engagements anywhere? No. We're still waiting to win this 1v1 or potentially take space where we can. If we can take this right side high ground and force this tracer out, that would be incredible. Incredible. Because then our Hanzo gets a free rotation up there. I think, whatchamacallit, our job right now on Brig is just maintaining our position, keeping people healed up, preventing any sort of hard engagement. So yeah, Skewed is also a pretty aggressive Brig player, which I really appreciate. Sometimes things need to happen. So yeah, this is a situation a bit unlike our dive comps that we were just talking about, because I alluded to this actually. The Widow is the Widow is present, very present, and because of that, um, we need to think about, instead of where we're going to get pressured like we're going to get dove, what angles are going to be hot spots for damage and stuff like that. You know, like what's a good angle for us, what's a bad angle for us. Mostly, what are the bad angles so we can avoid them. So there's our thing, and we're pushing up real early to take a lot of space. Now, is our backline safe? Yes, our backline is safe because we're stacked with two tanks. Two tanks, our Hanzo's in the back. Whatchamacallit, he wasn't safe before, but he's getting passive healed by BAP, that's that one. He wasn't safe before, but right now what we're focused on as a team is not so much like, we're just trying to help win angles a little bit wherever we can, and because the cart was in this state over here, this area was no longer as super vital to defend because the shot can't take it as easily. I am convoluting this massively. Let's just pay attention to Brig. I'm sorry. Um, in any case, so our backline is safe, so we can take space. Look at that play! Like, what a madman! Yeah, Skewed really aggressive here. He's not just taking space by whipshotting incoming people or doing that. He's taking space by going over, bashing into position, and shield bashing an Orisa out of her position to try and, you know, get some damage on her and create an advantage. And in these pro level matches, a lot of the time that could be what you need. And this guy is a nutter. This is such aggressive play. It really makes me laugh. But look what he's doing for his team. That's just it. But look what he's doing for his team. So I wanna take a look at this fight again, because look how uncontested Shu is over this entire time. He barely takes any damage, not just to the shields in the play, but by the fact that our Hanzo is zoning their tracer. We're developing a really big advantage over here that might outweigh the tracer being over here. So if you're Nero in this situation, you're tracer, and you want to keep pushing this flank, you can't push this flank unless your front line can take advantage of it and help push and pinch together. So these guys are all the rest of the fingers, these guys are the thumb, or Nero is the thumb, and you are pinching the enemy team between you two. They're forcing them to take damage from one direction or the other. However, because of the Glad's positioning and having their tracer over here, that pinch would be rather ineffective. So Nero is sort of forced to go back. This is no longer an advantageous position to fight up top here when the cart is as far as it is. So whatchamacallit, one of the big things about this is that because of this zoning that's going on here, Shu is essentially uncontested. The backline is completely safe, and because of that, we have what we have here. Skewed is pushing forward insanely, like mind-bogglingly. We're off-angling so aggressively, and for what? I mean, that's just crazy. Like, look, we get window, and look where we can window down this huge angle. And why is that? Because this is all uncontested or barely contested space because of the work that we're putting in. Not just you know, like everywhere else on the tank line, but from the main support position. So aggressive and so worth it. Like I think this man is forcing Fortify out of an or okay, no. Okay, it was already used. Fortify was already forced. Good. I was gonna say, because I saw him trying to pull Scoot over here and stuff like that. I thought he used Fortify just for him, which would have been shocking. But whatchamacallit, yeah, wow. Wow indeed. Let's see. So, we do our thing, we've developed sufficient off angles, and we win the fight. I mean, it's beautiful. It's beautiful, really. Continuing on, I think a really big part of this will be, look at that shielding, yes, perfect. Yeah, shielding here, avoiding the pull. Again, is our backline safe? Well, where is our backline? We have our mobile diva pushing the cart, which is kind of the equivalent of Tracer on other points and things like that. Um, that's just, oh my gosh, that's so exciting. Having our backline over here opens up the potential to really aggressively angle, which is what we're looking for here. I mean, that's just it. If we're not doing this, then what are we doing? Like, that's so exciting. Let's see. So continuing over here. Yep, just removing threats. We get that little bit of pinch, and we earn this angle. This is really risky. Yeah, this is really risky here. And that's what happens because of it. So, because we all rotate over here, the people who are left here are left stranded without CC. Now, I'm no owl player, but I think we do have to keep the Brigitte over here. Otherwise, things are going to get really, 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 really ugly if we don't have this split. If we are forcing them to look and shoot two different ways, we're not winning this fight. And because the side they committed on just had a bit less teeth. Like this is where the cool kids are, you know. This is where we all are. But this side over here, we're lacking a bit of teeth, in damage to keep them away when they trance. So, yeah, the trank here is essentially fight ending at this point. Ooh, also a missed immortality field. That'll do it too. See, that's rough. Man, it really makes you think. That's so awesome. But yeah. Yeah, see? Do we invest a pack on him? No. Because why do we need to, right? We want to keep our packs for when the fight starts. Those are really important resources. Bap, his things are ammo. They come back every time he reloads. But us, we can't not think about using these things. That is unlucky. That is just unlucky. Okay, in this position we've lost one of our key anglers. What do? Our backline will be endangered soon if we try to push. If we don't try to push, there's no guarantee that they will be in danger though. So here, we're here, as in olden days. Happy golden days of yore on the right side of the point. Have quite a few ults. The bongo, yes, there's some angles. We just use pulse bomb to get rid of the bongo. Oh, this guy. That's too bad. That is too bad. Yeah, he tried to stop the pulse bomb from the bongo, a very respectable effort, and unfortunately he dies like the rest. That's just crazy. That's just crazy. I just want to take a look at this really quick. I'm sorry. I haven't yet viewed this match from the POVs yet. I've just watched it a million times on the normal match things. That's just unlucky. Yeah, just pre-firing. He knows where to peek. Yeah, look at that follow-up orb. How late the click is into the flick is really, really key there too. That's amazing. That's amazing play. Um, skewed, return. I took a screenshot. Dang it. Let's see. Yeah, wonderful. Wonderful stuff. So, continuing here, we rally. And again, what is a rally but attempting to. What is a push but resetting your backline in enemy territory or towards a point that's contested by the enemy? Um, and what is a rally but a tool to stabilize when your team may be in disarray? It's an immense shame that we lose Birdering. This is not winnable anymore, I don't think. Yeah, that window is putting in work. Legitimately, anybody who challenges Violet there, even though he's half health, dies. Which is... That is just a darn shame, ain't it? Let's see. And Skew goes to the Zen, realizing that a poke-based approach is key here. So, perhaps not the best map for it, but we did see a lot of awesome Brig play in the first half. And yeah, as the point goes on, I doubt we switch back to Brig. That just wouldn't make sense. Um, let's see. Blizzard World, they choked a lot, like really hard. Ilios, they probably there's a good chance they played Brig here, but it is just as much a chance as they played Zen here if they ran the same comp. Ooh, exciting. Yes, this was the one where they ran the Genji. So let us see how skewed, and we can even look at Violet too, how they do. But yeah, so naturally, why you're seeing such a great distance between Shu and Skewed here is, as opposed to Violet here, is the way they play. So whatchamacallit, as well as the position they're going into. So the way these guys play, and with owl level information and scouting from each player, we generally would understand the approximate positions of each players before such a thing as a dive happens. Anything less than that is sort of a failure of communication. Please tell me that's not an aid. Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah, whatchamacallit, like because of the pro level scouting, they can afford to be further away from each other, not past the fact that this is Skewed's playstyle, Like incoming threats will most likely start from over here, and we can work our way backwards to our Ana instead of forwards. Um, that is just from what I've seen Skewed play, how things seem to go. We can hold really aggressively with the tanks, player like a tanky Brig and stuff like that, which is exciting and really momentum based, I think. Yeah, see that? I could use some healing. Really great call. Really great call. You're gonna hear a lot of I need healing calls from the people who need healing or who want it at least. So boom, pre-pack under the Winston. We already have a threat from this angle, although it wasn't a hard commitment. That seemed to be hard instinct. Um, yeah, boom, and then from that point on, we request healing and we go back to our backline so we can, again, our backliner is safe, so we can keep space for them. What Skewed is anticipating is the danger of whatchamacallit, of getting getting a backline that is endangered. Or Shu getting endangered, I should just clarify. Because now Shu is really the only backliner with her on the team. Or with Brig the character her, or Skewed the player him. I don't know. As them. Whatchamacallit. So yeah, again, we are making sure our backline is safe, and then getting space. Notice that gaining space in the first context involved, pushing with the tanks and stuff like that, which is really quite exciting. Yeah, get off that high ground. And now this is sort of the price that we pay sometimes for going super aggressive. In trying to gain space, I'm not really sure why we weren't as aware of the rotation coming out here, but Shu is in some trouble here. Thankfully, the rotation is covered by the D.Va and the Brig, which is really exciting, but it leads to a dive that we're not quite ready for. A botched nano here. Yeah, should try to hold it till the absolute last minute, and it didn't end up working out. And yeah, goodness. Hmm. I think this guy's Brig is just crazy. But again, whatchamacallit, just look at what he's doing and consider how much of an ult charge lead he gets against Violet. Like obviously Brig in main support isn't Violet's primary role. He's a flex support and one of, if not said to be currently like one of the best flex supports in the league, although that's always up in contention. You have one good match and I tell you, switches up the rankings immensely. But yeah, like, look at how much ult charge he gets by playing super aggressive versus playing a super defensive Brig. And neither one of these is absolutely correct. It depends on the team style. Shock's style is being like a unity family. Like these guys, they are collectivists. The individuals serve the whole, which is crazy. And that's just their comp. Look at them. They have the little CC to stop the anti-dive and stuff like that. They have the Baptiste instead of the Ana, the Orisa. They have the Diva. These guys are moving and they're moving together. They're going to angle together and play together. Uh, and everybody who's not with them as a whole is earning an angle to let their whole just fight them. Like Tracer's going to herd people into sight lines. Like it's just so scintillating. It makes so much sense. And yeah, like in this position, Ons is absolutely the weakest link here currently if they commit to a dive here with a nano. So Violet knowing this rotates over and gets slept. But preemptively and stuff like that, and that's just it. It's crazy stuff. It's crazy stuff. And who can say who's quote unquote right? Not I, for sure. A simple fool. Let's see. Just in case they need help with the rotation. Going over here. I love the constant pressure here. The more pressure we have here, the more slightly we can pinch with our Tracer over here. The more slightly we can pinch with our Genji, developing his position left lane. And if we absolutely need to, this is potentially shield bashable, not without some risk, of course, but to get back to Cage to help Shu. Um, these guys are comfortable playing apart because being together is being apart a lot of the time. And look at these guys fighting out here. Yeah, this is certainly pro play, which is very very exciting. Hans decides to try and punish. Space comes in and helps with the dive. And at this point, we might rally if he doesn't just play Minecraft parkour on Arisa's head. Nice. Yeah, at this point, like having everybody here and having space here, they know they're gonna peel for the Ana. Skewed knows they're gonna peel for the Tracer, so or peel the Tracer for the Ana, so he can instead work on Choi, which is those top level expectations, or just player expectations that we want to see out of every player, frankly. Is anybody on fire? I wonder if they get on fire in pro matches. I feel like I definitely would have seen somebody on fire so far. But yeah, like just looking even at this one very aggressive Brig player's play it's interesting to see how it is. And I encourage you to look at other Brig players and just other matches where people play Brig. Like I just find them by scrolling through the YouTube videos, then by the pro finder or the pro like match finder. But however you do it, like observe the Brigs and observe their styles. See how they serve their team. Again, like Violet is maintaining the backline, but frankly, because everybody there's not much of a super distinctive front line, I would argue, on as much as there is on a dive comp, as there is in a bunker comp like this one that they're running with this Orisa over here, or just with an Orisa comp. So I think what's really key is how Brigitte maintains space for everybody, making sure first that all of our anglers are safe. It's really quite fascinating and enlightening, and I'm sure like I'm getting a lot of this, getting a lot out of this currently, even just watching it now, like from their POVs and stuff like that. And I'm sure you would benefit too. But yeah, try not to overcomplicate thingies. I'm a big fight weirdo, so I like seeing how the team fight goes. But as far as you can observe, like why is this happening, and start asking why and stuff like that towards these events and stuff. Why are we here? What are we doing here? Why are we doing this? Why are we playing so aggressive? Like a lot of it isn't just like, oh, they're pros, they could do it, right? Because there's equal pros enough to stop them. But yeah, what should we call it? Like, I think I think it's just incredible to see the choices that they make and the play styles they have and what you can learn from them, which is again, as a big repeat of the thing, step 1, making sure your fundamental duty on Brig, making sure your backline is safe, then making sure your backline has space, maintaining that space if you're not gaining it. Now, Skewed is very, very aggressive pro player on the Brig, and we can see that instead of maintaining space as much, his priority is gaining space for his team because he knows that if the Shock, this bunker comp, get a lot of space, even a little bit of space, but especially a lot of space, they can really, really pressure them before they can engage in a dive. So getting as much space early on as they can is a big priority for them. Um, and that's just how things are, you know? Like the matchup matters too, blah blah blah. I'm gonna quit complicating things. But yeah, like thank goodness for this. I'm very glad you asked about this because I'm very glad that I can also help myself gain some things. Now, of course, if you have any questions, please do let me know, and I would be more than happy to discuss them, and especially like pro player stuff. Why do they do this? Why do they do that? Why do I do things that I do? Because that helps everyone. That benefits everyone. Um, Especially me too, which is potentially self-serving, but I do love knowledge and thinking, so I will be glad to answer that. In any case, though, yeah, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it, and have fun. Hopefully, this clears some things up for you.